How's it going, everybody? Julian Hayes at Heisman Hayes back here once again. And as promised, we're going to go through some film. So bear with me. I'm going to do my best job to make this video as informative as I can, but at the same time keeping it short and concise. Okay, so we're going to go through some film. I'm going to actually break this down frame by frame. And I had asked the question a couple posts ago. If you haven't seen that, go back and take a look at that post. That was a few pictures I had put up, and it was me going into one of my breaks, and I was asking, why is it that high-level athletes look so muscular, why their musculature tends to be so defined during certain movements. And I had some clips here of me doing some cone drills. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. You can see the pictures here. There's obviously a lot of detail. Now, it's an action shot, and we're slowing it down. So with a good enough camera, you're going to get that. But I essentially split this up into three different aspects that we're going to go over. First one being nutrition. So obviously with the high-level athlete, let's break down what's going on. And you see it with a lot of different sports, especially athletes that are doing high-intensity movements. Nutrition is going to play a big part. Now, granted, you will find some very good athletes out there that do not follow a very good nutrition program, but it does present the same sort of phenomena, and that is muscle to fat ratio is much higher. A lot more muscle than fat on the body. And one way to see more defined muscle is naturally to have less fat on the body, especially the superficial fat closer to the surface. Getting rid of that is a really good way to see more defined muscle. Now, I'm going to take that a little bit further. I'm not going to go too much into diet. I personally am a vegan, but you can still eat cleaner even if you're not. So I just want to put that out there. Cutting out sugars is a really easy way to make some progress in terms of changing the fat content within your body. There's a lot of sugar out there, and one thing I always suggest is just reading the back of ingredient labels. You also want to try to avoid processed foods. That's what I tend to do. I should say that's what I do. I also avoid sugary drinks. Tends to be a lot of sugar in drinks. And stress eating is a very real thing. It gets the best of all of us. So just being mindful of when we're eating, making sure that it's to nourish our body and not just because we are upset or bored or what have you. Very simple. You have to expel more calories, burn more calories than you consume to lose weight, and with fat content as well. So just keeping that in mind, making sure you're active, making sure you're not overeating. Okay. Now let's continue along. Some easy steps you can do: slowly substituting foods, even if it's something as small as within one meal taking one portion of the meal out. I mean, that's perfectly fine. So just some ideas. Okay. Now, number two we're going to get into is high intensity movement. So I'm going to go into some other things with number two. So high intensity movements. What is it that's going on? Well, this is a very dynamic movement. So naturally, it's going to require large, powerful contractions along with fast and rapid contractions continuously. So you'll see that in something like running, doing footwork on a ladder, for example, coming back into it. And you can see, watch how everything develops as soon as we take that first step. Very dynamic. As soon as that foot hits, you can see in the abdominals what's going on right here. The body's bracing, building up tension. Take a look at my stomach right here. You can see previous as I'm coming into it, bracing, flexing, because now I'm going against that resistance of the Vertimax as well as the resistance of those EggWeights as I'm trying to pump my arms through the legs. You can see right away through the calf, through the hamstrings, quads, all the way up top. Maybe it could be a little bit more relaxed in the neck area, but you can see fired up. Now here's the other aspect of it. It's not just when we're going into high intensity movements, but the same thing can be said for dynamic stabilization. So when we have to stop all of this momentum that's going forward right now, best believe that our body has to have something to counter that. So our body's going to shift leverage. We're going to be working through the LPHC, the lumbo-pelvic hip complex. So again, torso, hips. Notice what's going on through here. So immediately you'll notice some things. Now what I do here is I shift my leverage. You'll see my hips drop. My entire body drops like I'm taking a chunk out of the ground. So you can see that right leg extend. Now notice the hamstring, you'll see it really flexed right here. Soon as it hits the ground, that's all the tension that was built up isometrically within that muscle to brace, and then boom, immediately when that foot hits the ground, look at the transfer through those muscle fibers. A lot going on right there. Same thing can be said in the core. Look through the abdominals. Boom, look at that energy transfer. You can see the quote-unquote six-pack, but not just that, everything else that's working with it. Let's go into it a little bit further, taking a look at the upper body. So you can see there's a lot going on when we're pumping our arms. Make no mistake, upper body works hand in hand, no pun intended. Maybe I should claim that one. With our lower body in just about every movement that we're doing. And everything is centralized around our trunk or torso, our core, as well as some other muscles like our glutes that work as a part of that core. So again, the arms you can see really flexed. Now let's bring it back a little bit. Okay, going through, taking a look at the arm. So that tricep, you'll notice right there, really engaged as I'm squeezing through the hands. And what's going on within the body, while it might look like I'm just going forward and backward, there's a lot of transverse movement going on. So between the obliques and the upper body and the lower body stabilizing, there's rotation that's going on. So these arms are working in a rotational manner to counterbalance all of this force that's coming in, and then from there using that same force to come out. Propulsion forward, using that. Look at the rotation, look at the obliques, look at the outer edges of the shin, peroneus longus, tibialis anterior. Look at all these muscles, the quadriceps, same thing, stabilizing at the knee joint. And then converting that motion. Look at how the joints have to change. This is going to get us into part 3 of what's going on in this video. But again, those muscles are dynamically stabilizing and then accelerating forward once again. You can see triple extension in the back leg, triple flexion in the front leg. You see my arm is a little bit outside of my body as I'm rotating back through, and then it's going to get back in line. Boom. We'll just go through a couple more reps here just so you can see. So again, adding power movements, adding athletic sport movements, there's a lot of practicality to it. You can see it works the body in a very dynamic manner. And I just want to be careful of how frequent we're doing these types of movements. Are we maintaining proper form as we're going through? And are we working these movements for the right reason? So if it's a sport specific movement, are we staying in line with what it is that we're trying to obtain in our training? And again, this type of movement, even though this is for football, this can be applied through multiple sports, tweaking one or two things or keeping things the same. Continuing through, just giving you a chance to look at it, hamstrings, through the shoulders, look at the deltoid, same thing. Everything is connected. That's really one thing I want to emphasize here, the connection between everything that's going on. It's not really one body part working by itself. It is a connection, a grouping. Here on the left side, same thing, triple extension, triple flexion, dropping the center of gravity, back knee is dragging down, shifting, taking that momentum in the sagittal plane forward into frontal, going a little bit lateral, and then rotating back. Got everything all in one. Great movements for the body. Okay, so let's get into the third aspect of this. And the third aspect of this is going to be mobility. Now, this is really important. When we break this down, mobility, I have a different clip here. And let's just go through this, okay? Got my EggWeights. Let me pull this up how I'd like it. Okay, frame by frame. Okay, so the joints must be mobile enough. And then to add to that, ligaments, tendons, and other connective tissue must be pliable and strong enough to handle these dynamic movements. So it's not just a matter of being able to produce this force. It's also a matter of being able to control it and being able to essentially get the body into a degree of angle where it can create this type of movement. And that's very important, okay? So let's break it down a little bit. So we're going to go to these cut movements once again. I mean, this is just awesome clips, not because it's me, but these types of clips in general across multiple athletes. I love just studying athletes, but I like having these angles. It's very helpful. So first thing here, pause right on here. Didn't even mean to, but look at it. 90-degree angle in the back arm, 90-degree angle in the front leg. You can see the back leg is pushing to a 180-degree angle, just coming into triple extension. So joint angle. You can take a look at the back foot right now. Pretty close to a 45-degree angle. Now, think our joints essentially need to be able to move. Some joints move in multiple planes of motion. Our shoulders, our hips, our wrists, our ankles. You know, to a degree, our ankles and wrists might not move quite as much, but they move. And you know, something that I'm still continuing to discover. I'm actually working out in my Vibram 5 fingers, by the way, is just the importance of feet. It's something that I've really honed into in my training, you know, over the last 6-7 years, maybe. I've really emphasized the importance of my feet and just continuing to learn more. I wear almost predominantly 5-fingered shoes, and just really to give my toes the space that they need, working with my joints. But again, let's go through this. So that for me has been the biggest difference. Let's take a look at that front right ankle, the ability to load up. Now, if your ankle mobility is not very good, which used to be the case for me, your ankles are not going to be able to go past this point right here. So the thing that's going to have to happen from there, more than likely, the body will continue to go forward. So you'll get drifting on a route, or you'll get rounding. You may also get a kind of delayed step or choppy step, but the step won't be as smooth. And I don't even have cleats on right now, so I can tell you, you know, from someone who wears cleats, you know, not using them definitely gives you a disadvantage. So for me to be able to handle this movement, which I could not always do, definitely is a testament to not only strength training, but joints and the way that joints move and they transition. And then same thing, looking at the ankles right here, they have to move in different planes of motion. Look at that rotation on that bottom foot. Again, I'm not wearing cleats. You can see I'm using my toes. I'm on the ball of my foot. You can see the rotations working with my arm, with my trunk. Everything's working. My right foot steps down. Again, still in triple extension, triple flexion, but you know, now my foot has to be slightly everted to be able to hit the ground, drive forward. Let's continue to look at some reps. Go through a couple more. Okay. Bring that one back. Okay, shoulder angle, same thing. Shoulders have to be able to work. Look, we're maintaining 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Those are strong joint angles. Same thing here. Shoulders have to be able to work. Look how it's stacking over the hips. Look how the hips are stacked over the knee. Knee stacked over the ankle. Same thing. You can see the musculature through the back of the hamstrings, the soleus, and the gastrocnemius. So you see the different heads. Hamstrings, you can see the multiple heads as well. It's awesome, awesome stuff. And coming through. Good. Again, notice the look at the angle of the ankle. So this time, actually inverted, completely opposite of last time. But again, the ability of the joint of that foot, which the ankle joint is such a durable joint. Learn about it. I urge you. We're on our feet all day, every day. It's so awesome. So again, when we break down everything, and I know this is a little bit of a longer video, thank you for bearing with me. It's just this concept of, okay, so we have our body. Nutrition is obviously a big part. That's one reason why you see these high-level athletes, certain football players, running backs, wide receivers, defensive backs. You'll see linebackers, even DNs nowadays. So incredible. In basketball, you see all types of positions. You know, a guard or a forward. You can think of most electrifying point guards in the NBA, for example. You'll see the same thing in tennis. High-level tennis players. The one woman in particular I'm thinking of who's incredible. Same thing with sprinting. You look at sprinters, same concept. Ripped and long jumpers, Triple jumpers, same concept. If you have to produce massive amounts of force in a short amount of time, or a lot of change of direction. You see certain soccer players, you see their legs. I mean, it's synonymous around so many different sports, gymnasts and the way that they're able to have isometric stabilization. I mean, it's just incredible. So again, having the body of an athlete, it's not easily obtained. There's a lot of practicality to it too. Ask me any questions that you may have. But again, adding power movements into our regimen is a really cool thing. Nutrition is going to be a big part of it. High intensity movements. So if we're going to get to high intensity, we have to start at a lower intensity. Work your way up. Work with your foundation, your core, your abdominals, your glutes, your back muscles, especially the muscles that keep your back erect, nice and tall. Mobility, same thing. Working slow, building up. Working on foundation and grounding, getting into the ground barefoot once in a while, and just working slow. The same steps that I used. I look forward to giving you more information moving forward. Thanks everyone for listening, watching, and have a good one. Peace.